Good morning. Welcome to the midweek edition of your Breakfast from Leadership Television inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Webo. Sure feels good to be here on today's show. And of course, your host on the program. Without wasting much time, we are looking at what the national papers are saying. Of course, there's no other paper to flag up than Leadership, Nigeria's most influential newspaper. Leadership's leading story today says 1 week after Chimamanda's son's death, Kano woman dies of seizures left in her body. Family alleges negligence. Death, Kano woman dies of seizures left in her body. We'll take some excerpts from that story. We'll move over to page 4 of Leadership. Barely 1 week after Nigerian's actor Chimamanda Adichie lost a 21-month-old son, Kano Nnamdi, over alleged negligence, a mother of 5, Aishatu Umar, has died in Kano following alleged surgical negligence at the Abubakar Imam Urological Center. Her family is accusing medical personnel of leaving a surgical instrument in her body during an operation carried out in September. Aishatu reportedly died at about 1 a.m. on Tuesday after months of persistent abdominal pain that followed the surgery, which was initially expected to improve her health condition. Her death has sparked outrage with renewed calls for accountability in the state's healthcare system. Speaking on behalf of the family, Abubakar Mohammed said the disease fell ill several months ago and was admitted to the urological center for surgery. He said complications set in shortly after the procedure as Aishatu began experiencing severe and recurring abdominal pain. According to him, the disease repeatedly returned to the hospital over a 4-month period to lodge complaints about her condition. However, the family alleged that medical personnel only prescribed pain relief drugs during those visits without carrying out comprehensive tests to ascertain the root cause of her ailment. Leading story on today's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Of course, this story has it that the Kano state government has already set up a panel to look into the issues and get back to it. But however, no matter what, it can't bring back the dead. The deed has already been done. We'll continue with the leading stories on today's cover of Leadership. Reactions as Tinubu unveils $2 billion climate fund plan. That continues also on page 4 of Leadership. AFCON Super Eagles confident ahead of Morocco clash amidst refereeing fears. The story is on page 30. And of course, our Super Eagles, our valiant Super Eagles, is locking horns with Morocco later today. And the Leadership story is on the cover of the paper amidst refereeing fears. Kano government officials being coerced to join APC. Past governor of the state, Kwankwaso alleges. Counter-insurgency, U.S. delivers military supplies to Nigeria. World Bank projects 4.4% growth for Nigeria in 2026-2027. And on the business boss of Leadership, court orders Facebook owner Meta to pay Falana $25,000 for privacy invasion. Justice Olalekan Oresanya of the Lagos State High Court sitting in Ikeja on Tuesday ordered Meta Platforms Incorporated, the parent company of the social network platform Facebook, to pay human rights lawyer Femi Falana's son $25,000 for the invasion of his privacy by the company. Justice Oresanya held that a global tech firm like Meta, which holds pages for commercial purposes, has a duty of care toward individuals impacted by content on its platform. Falana had dragged the United States of America-based organization before the court over the publication of a false video about his health status, which he claimed damaged his image and the name he built over the years. Excerpts from the cover story, business cover story on the business boss of Leadership. Court orders Facebook owner Meta to pay Falana $25,000 for privacy invasion. Lastly, on the cover of Leadership is the last story, and of course, it's just a teaser for the forthcoming conference awards by Leadership Media Group for turning Nasarawa into Nigeria's emerging investment hub and for redefining Imo State's public service as a platform for progress and unity. Engineer Abdullahi Sule and Governor Hope Uzodinma are Governors of the Year 2025. Of course, that story continues on page 7 of Leadership. We move to page 3 of Leadership, where we have our stand. Today's stand is on rethinking the concept of de-radicalization. Rethinking the concept of de-radicalization. Today's stand in Leadership. From the stand, we move briskly to the back page, where we have Wednesday column with Olufunke Barowa. Today she's writing on Afrima 2026, the unstoppable sound of Africa rising. Afrima 2026, the unstoppable sound of Africa rising. Today's column with Olufunke Barowa. We'll take some quotes from that back page. The All Africa Music Awards, Afrima, is fast becoming a turning point for Africa's music and entertainment industry and an economic signal. The Night Afrima Awards did more than celebrate winners. It offered a blueprint for Africa's creative future, where one culture is not just expressive, but productive, not just visible, but valuable. Today's excerpts from the back page column. Like we normally do, let's visit Ghana Must Go before we turn and conclude review of Leadership. On the news, APC chief demands Adeleke's resignation. And Ghana Must Go is asking the APC chief, after all the dancing, you want him to resign? It's very, very funny. It's humorous. And of course, Ghana Must Go always add humor to the day. It's on that note to conclude review of Leadership this Wednesday. For more, log into the website of Leadership newspaper. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is This Day. This Day says Africa Confidential. Federal government outguns Biafra lobbyists seeking to influence Trump on Nigeria. Africa Confidential. Federal government outguns Biafra lobbyists seeking to influence Trump on Nigeria. Of course, you should know by now that a lobbyist is a positive one in the US, and there's nothing negative about it. If you want something done, if you want contacts and other stuff, you lobby, and that lobby also carries some financial gains. Pays $750,000 per month to DC lobbyists on US visa policy, military support, trade, and tariffs. That is federal government. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Biafra Group pays Washington lobbyists $66,000, gets support from Ted Cruz, Mike Pompeo. These days, leading story says that federal government has actually outbid Biafra lobbyists seeking to influence Trump on Nigeria. While the federal government pays $750,000 per month to Washington, D.C. lobbyists on U.S. visa policy, military support, trade, and tariffs, the Biafra Group, on the other hand, is paying $66,000. We move ahead to the other stories on the cover of This Day. Tinubu signs comprehensive economic path with United Arab Emirates. Says Nigeria will co-host Investopia with UAE in February. Disclosed plan to mobilize $30 billion annually in climate, green, industrial finance. Trade deal will benefit Nigerian businesses, professionals, workers, says Oduwole. UAE to remove tariffs on over 7,000 Nigerian export products. The story continues on the cover of This Day and continues on page 8 of the paper. We move ahead to the masthead of This Day, and above the masthead, the last have not been heard in the legal battle between Nestor and his lenders. Nestor Nekonde reject false misleading reports on Supreme Court proceedings. Says Apex Court declared no winners, losers in lenders dispute. Deny writ with lawyers, alleged attempts to intimidate counsel. Lastly, on the cover of This Day, federal government approves 2026 intervention funds for 271 tertiary institutions. And that concludes the review of front headline stories on This Day newspaper. Don't forget, we also have the picture of President Bola Tinubu with the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, and of course the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, our United Arab Emirates Minister of Foreign Trade and Minister in charge of Talent Attraction and Retention, Dr. Tan bin Ahmed Al Zayedi. during the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership agreements between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, at the 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week yesterday. And it's on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on this day newspaper this Wednesday. For more, log into the website of this day newspaper. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Daily Independent. Daily Independence leading story says Nigeria's cotton textile sector under severe strain. Stakeholders seek urgent, coordinated long-term reforms. One ailing CTG sector threat to industrialization livelihoods. DCI hired by federal government promotes Nigerians' moves to protect Christians. The story continues on page 7 of Daily Independent. DCI hired by federal government promotes Nigerians' moves to protect Christians. PDP Huriwa demand release of 52 students protesting insecurity in Edo. Of course, that story was carried by Leadership Television yesterday, with the NAS, National Association of Nigerian Students, demanding release of those 52 students of the institution who were arrested in respect to the protest in Edo State. Fubara should see Wike as his leader. Fayose insists Obi is the only person that matters in ADC. The story continues on page 6 of Daily Independent. Uzodinma to establish Nigeria's first robotic surgical center in Imo. Federal government disperses 2.5 billion naira each to public varsities, 1.8 billion naira to polytechnics, and 2 billion naira to College of Education. Kwankwaso makes U-turn, backs Abba Yusuf's planned APC defection. Tinubu calls foreign investment for $30 billion green energy boom. Nigeria UAE trade pact. Toko hosts Investopia in Lagos. Pat opens duty-free access for Nigerian exports, coming from the Minister of Industry. Says it removes tariffs on 7,000 Nigerian products, boost exports jobs. The story continues on the cover of Daily Independent. Court nullifies PDP Guba Primary in Ekiti, and that takes us to the story about the masthead of Daily Independent. US delivers new military supplies to boost Nigeria's insecurity fight. No disrespect intended. Olubadan dismisses claims of snubbing Alafin. And that brings to a close the review of front headline stories on Daily Independent. For more, don't forget to log into the website of Daily Independent, www.independent.ng. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun says federal government to spend 11.5 billion naira on pilgrimage, amongst 4.6 billion naira on nuclear energy, climate change, 2.3 trillion naira for agriculture, technology ministries. Ohaneze condones with Chimamanda over son's death. NAROD nudged to review strike suspension in 2 weeks. Agbakoba demands immediate overhaul of Nigeria's healthcare system. That was a story that led on Leadership newspaper yesterday. Osun civil society groups accuse APC officials, police of illegal occupation of local government secretariats. Tinubu Sanwo-Olu orders more Akron of Badagry. And lastly, on the cover of Daily Sun, Nigeria run by press statesmen, why Tinubu governs from foreign hotels, coming from Peter Obi. And that brings to a close the review of front headline stories on Daily Sun newspaper this Wednesday. For more, don't forget to log in to the website of Daily Independent of Daily Sun. We move ahead to the next paper, and lastly, and incidentally, the last paper we have on our lineup this Wednesday, and that is The Punch. Punch's leading story says 2-year refining milestone, fuel import spending crashes 54%. Oh, so sorry. This was yesterday's Punch newspaper. We move ahead to take The Guardian. The Guardian says APC stakeholders wade into Rivers crisis, impeachment plot. APC stakeholders wade into we are moving ahead, and we are taking we are having so many we are having some technical glitches here. Well, it's on that note we bring to a close today's review of Inside Nigeria of National Papers on our program Breakfast Show Inside Nigeria. Don't forget to join us for a fresh edition of the program tomorrow. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, and don't also forget to follow us on all our social media handles. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.